Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I'm your host, Ben Cross, and I am with my good friend, Nina Taylor, CEO, founder, illustrious entrepreneur at The Sweet Faith. Nina, how are you doing today?
I'm good, sir. How are you, BC?
I am good. It is good to be here with you.
Thank you.
I'm feeling very blessed today. Are you feeling that, Nina? I'm feeling it. Are you feeling it?
I feel good. I feel alive. Yeah. I feel, I got all the stuff I had to get out this morning out of the way. So yeah. So now I have a whole bunch of Ben Cross time. We good.
All right. Okay. Let's see if we can fit all of the stuff we have to talk about into our 60 minutes today. If you are watching right now, I want to know who you are, where you are. Get in the comments. We're going to have a very lively discussion, and I want you to be part of it. So the show is so much better with you, the viewer, in the comments, asking questions, letting us know what's up. Where in the world are you today, Nina Taylor?
I'm in the beautiful, hot and steamy H-Town. My Houston peeps, please represent.
Houston, Texas. For those of you who don't know, H-Town, to those of you who do, let me ask you a question, Nina Taylor.
Oh, Lord.
Is it true that Dallas is better than Houston?
No. Okay, so, and I can say that because I am from Arlington, born and raised. So just saying, 25 years in. So I did my time.
You did.
Then I did my time. And then I left and came back. So all my family are still there. So it's not that I love one over the other because my family still resides there. I just choose not to live there. So that's all.
Okay. All right. Let's see who's checking in. I'm not going to make you talk a whole bunch of mess about Dallas out here.
Thank you.
Let's see. I'm not going to put you in that position. We all know Dallas is better. All right. Stacy Huff checking in. Hi, Ben and Nina. I'm looking forward to the show. Super producer Stacy, thank you for everything you do. Appreciate you so much. Without Stacy, we couldn't do this. Jenna, excited to see this. Yes, Jenna.
Thanks.
Jenna's amazing. If you haven't connected with Jenna yet,
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good people.
She's legit. Yeah, for sure. Veronica. Hi, Nina and Ben. Hello.
Veronica. Veronica's good people too. Love that woman. Awesome.
Look at this. We got the UK. We've got Brazil. We've got Pennsylvania. We've got Woodbridge, Virginia. What's up, Steve? Steve Meyer there, household goods driver out there. Be safe, Steve. What's it like out there in the summer? I want to hear from you, household goods driver. What are you seeing out there? You running crazy? Jamie Master, hi, Ben and Nina.
Hey,
cheers
Jamie.
From sunny Mississippi.
He's sitting in Mississippi, but he still reps Texas because he's with a Houston company. So yes. he still reps he reps H-Town, not Dallas.
Excellent. Well, you know what? Anyway, hit that like button right now. Show a little love here. Let's see. We're going to get into it. Mike Falia, greetings from Southern California. Thank you, Mike, for being on. Mike was on our mentor show last week. That's what's up. We got LinkedIn users. I love when the occasional LinkedIn user drops in. This is fantastic. Trisha, great to see and hear. Nina Taylor.
Trika John Baptiste. Sorry. Yes, that woman is amazing. She is the hospitality guru. She knows everything, always in all ways, as we just talked about. I absolutely adore that woman.
Thank you, Trika, for being here. Gabriel Brown, warm greetings to everyone from Arizona. I work with Nina since Furnished Quarters Day. She is amazing.
I love all my FQ people. I miss you guys.
That. And now we got Dubai, Mena from Dubai.
Hey,
we got 4 continents represented here.
I love it.
This is incredible.
I love it.
This is fantastic. We're going to talk about your journey into corporate housing. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about supplier diversity. We're going to talk about, I don't know, anything else you want to talk about, books, inspiration, all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where should we start, Nina? Should we talk about your journey and how you became an entrepreneur? How'd you move from employee to entrepreneurship? This is something I'm really passionate about. I spoke today at the Ohio Minority Supplier Diversity Conference. And for me, it's really about how do we move all these amazing professionals from employee to entrepreneur and actually achieve the equity piece? How did you do it, Nina?
Faith, prayer, determination. So I always grew up in Arlington, Texas, thinking that I had to figure out how to mold myself into a model of something that I wasn't already.
Where did that come from, by the way? Can we, like, at what point did you have that in your mind, or where did that come from? Do you remember?
The education system.
Yeah.
You grow up basically saying, you know, you go to school, graduate from high school, go to college, get a good job, you know, do all of these things in order of where they feel like you can say you're in the American dream. And I always felt like, why do I have to do it that way? Why does it have to be that way? And what happens to those who don't do that?
You're so right. I feel like our education system just teaches people how to conform. It says, sit down, be quiet, raise your hand, have the answer I'm looking for.
And that's it. And shut your mouth. Don't say anything different, because if you do, you're going to get in trouble. So don't start none, don't be none. And I think that it wasn't until literally 3 years ago when I started my company that I literally told myself, I'm going to be 40 soon. I need to figure out how to work for my own self. I love what I do, and I'm extremely passionate about what I do. And I'm pretty for sure anybody out there who's worked with me and, you know, been in the industry for 20 plus years, as much as I have, they know I work for my people. I love to serve people. But I didn't necessarily know how to do it in the way that corporate America wanted me to. And I think that was the process. It was always a friction with more me than the corporate structure. Not saying that the corporate structure doesn't work, because there are certain parts of the corporate structure that has to work in order for it to continue to thrive, of course. But there were certain things that I knew that I wasn't going to be good at. And there were certain things that I knew I couldn't keep my mouth shut about. And that's when because I will tell you, 4 years ago when I moved to Houston and bought my house, Hurricane Harvey hit. So I bought my house 2 weeks later, Hurricane Harvey hits.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even have all of my stuff from New York, because I was in New York for almost 13 years.
Where were you in New York? Hold up. Where were you in New York?
I was with Furnished Quarters. They already shouted me out. I was
where did you live in New York?
Oh, everywhere. 92nd and 2nd.
I grew up in White Plains, New York. So
okay.
Manhattan?
Yep. I stayed in Manhattan the whole time. So yeah, 92nd and 2nd, 32nd and 3rd. I stayed on the Upper West Side. I stayed in Harlem, all over the place.
See,
no one stays that long in one place.
Because I was born in Dallas, and then I grew up in New York, and now I'm back in Texas. So this
I'm just following you. Well, actually, no, you're following me, because I came before you.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. I came after the hurricane. You came before the hurricane. So you bought your house 2 weeks later, Hurricane Harvey hit, and then what happened?
So it was a whole bunch of just transition, and it was hard because I had not taken a break and I was really burned out. And that was the one thing that I had to really stop and pay attention to, is when God is trying to tell you something, he will make you sit down. And it just got to the point where everything just seemed to be just like crumbling. And I was just like, I cannot figure this out. And the opportunity came about, and I was like, what do I have to lose? And I thought to myself, and that was the same thing in 2005 when I moved to New York. I was like, what is the worst that could happen? And I was like, oh, everything could fail. I go back home, live with my parents, and start over. So I was like, what do I have to lose? Why would I not step into this extremely unknown position and make it happen? This is the best time for me to figure out who I am as a person. Not mimic what corporate America wanted me to be, not do what I saw in magazines or on TV, but actually hone in on who Nina Lachey Taylor is and represent her to the fullest to my clients. I was like, if the worst thing that could happen is that fumbles, then it wasn't meant to be. So I just gave it everything I had.
So let me understand this, because there's this moment when you're working for a company and you realize I can't do this anymore. And then there's another moment that's like, I see an opportunity and this is what I should be doing.
See, I never had those moments.
You never had, I see an opportunity. But how did you conceive of the Sweet Faith then?
Because when I worked for Furnished Quarters, that was 6 years of creating memories and moments and brands within a company that is priceless. That's what makes this company exist, because I actually know how to put a brand together of corporate housing, of service departments, and actually now thrive into a different market. It wasn't until I personally had to get my together and then figure out I need to stop holding myself back. So I can't fault anyone else for any irresponsibilities that were mine. I had to hone in on who I was. I had to be completely 100% Nina, happy with that woman, and then start doing the work. So it took mentors. It took my business coach. It took tons of prayer. I did not want to waste all of my savings, but it took a toll. But every single day I have to realize it's my responsibility to employ myself. So I just literally took all of the responsibility. I didn't want to say, this company isn't really what I needed. And I felt no, I was burnt out. And I was just like, why is the work that I love and what I'm doing not really pushing me to the next level? And I was like, oh.
What was the answer to that question?
It wasn't time. It wasn't time for me to work for somebody else. It was time for me to do the work for myself.
Yeah. What did that feel like when you hung a shingle and when you went on your own and said, I'm Nina Lachey Taylor and I have the sweet faith, and then got the business card and everything? What was that feeling like?
The scarlet letter. It was close to, I was just nervous. I was so scared. I didn't feel confident when I first, just out the gate, did not feel confident. I felt like now everyone's really going to see me. Oh my God. Do I like her? Is she competent to do this without the backing of, corporate housing? Can she really do this? That was the first time I ever tested myself. There's been times where I have really done some things, and I'm sure Steve Brown, the CEO of Furnish Quarters, he knows. I will test you when it comes to putting something together, especially a multi-million-dollar deal. Mm-hmm. But to do it on my own, I was like, wait a minute, can I really do this? Mm-hmm. And finally,
it's so funny though. Hold up 1 second, because something you said is so funny, because I was the same person in my 20s and in my early 30s where I would have so much input on these deals. And oh, you can't do it that way. Oh, you can't do it that way. And I would kind of throw these rocks at people who were doing it. It's like that man in the arena thing, right? I would throw these kind of rocks and have these opinions or whatever. And then you realize when you're the person that's doing it and you can't blame anybody else, you can't delegate it, or you can't whatever, and you have to be the one doing it. And you realize how vulnerable that feeling is in that situation is. I kind of hated my old self for a minute too.
Old Nina would not be sitting here. 20s and early 30s Nina, we don't even know this woman. This woman did not exist for her. So I became her because I decided to actually bet on me, and I stopped the facade. I was tired of trying to figure out who you wanted me to be, and I was trying to figure out who God asked me to be because he created me. So I just wanted to stay true to me. And then I knew as long as I could do that and serve other people, I would be happy, because that's what I felt like. I didn't feel like I had that good peace of mind, just professionally, personally, it just didn't click. And it wasn't until I really started to do the nitty gritty of my work that I realized this doesn't have to be hard. I think that someone said not too long ago, when you're in corporate America, it's easy to get in. The harder you go up that corporate ladder, the longer it takes you to get the harder it gets. In entrepreneurship, it is hard in the beginning. But man, once you start to get things in structure, it gets a lot easier and it gets fun, and you have a peace of mind, and you get to dictate your lifestyle and how you want to create that. That's the best part about it. I have a freedom now that I never had before I chose entrepreneurship.
Okay, so I want to get into this, and I want to talk more about this, and I want to talk about corporate housing, and I want to talk about what you learned, along the process and how the business is going. I want to hear about the sweet faith. I see people in the comments here. This is great. We got a bunch of people on LinkedIn. Hit that like button. Let's show a little love to Nina out there. So hit that heart there. Let her know we're out there. Also, I want to know your questions for Nina. I want to get you involved in the conversation. If you're watching right now, I want to know your questions about entrepreneurship. I want to know your questions about corporate housing. I want to know, your questions about her journey. Maybe you're considering a leap like this yourself, or maybe you've taken that leap, or maybe you're just looking for what the next chapter is, and you're looking for a little inspiration. And maybe you got a question about your own situation. Love to hear.
Pretty much an open book. I'm open book.
Yeah. Or if you want to talk about how the Cowboys are better than the Texans. I mean, there's a lot of things we could get into here on the show. We've got a little time. I think it's a blessing. Let's see what happens. Ruby checking in from sunny San Diego. What's up, Ruby? I see you out there. Ruby, I'd love to hear your questions. Jana, already loving the energy. Jana, I'd love to hear any questions you have as well. Darlene in Tampa.
Hey, Tampa.
Love Tampa. I lived in Tampa for like 6 years also. Tampa's cool. Tampa's cool. Let's see here. Candy Wright from Huntsville.
Yeah. Hi, Candy.
What's up, Candy? Candy, send your questions in. I want to hear what you got here. Christina, I'm checking in late here. Got caught on a call. Happy Tuesday, everyone. What's up, Christina? Good to see you there. I'd love to hear your questions too. Christina's had some really great ones lately. Robert.
Hey. Hi, Robert.
Love the story so far. Yeah, Robert, it's pretty inspirational. Love to hear your questions as well here. Let's see. Farrell says, what a fabulous story. How brave. Farrell, I'd love to hear your questions. Love it.
I don't feel like I'm brave.
Why not?
Because I just felt
on the outside looking in would say you are.
That's the man, Richard, right there.
This is how we met. Remember this? We met at a Saba wine event.
Yep.
And he popped us into some room together.
So I have to say this, because I really, truly do mean this from the bottom of my heart. Richard turned me on to Love and Relo back in February. He goes, because I have been doing the Samba room that he does every Thursday, which is amazing. So if no one has joined the Samba room, you need to get in. It is fantastic. Networking. There are people across the pond that I would not know had it not been for Richard. I'm eternally grateful. So he says, hey, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm listening to Love and Reload. I would love for you to listen in because they're doing this whole, Black companies, all these Black entrepreneurs, everything. And Ben Cross is talking about it. I'm like, who's Ben Cross? So I literally go on, and within 2 minutes, you had me sold. And I'm going to tell you why. Wow. You were the first Caucasian man that I've ever listened to have some real genuine Black conversations that are extremely hard to have. And you did it so eloquently. It made sense. It was thought-provoking, and it allowed you to not be offended or afraid, but to actually have strength and understanding of a situation that most people, they just find taboo. And I was like, I can get around that. I can back that. I support that. I love that, because that's the conversations that we do need to be having. It's just that not everyone can have those because they don't have the je ne sais quoi. And you do.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. I really, really appreciate that, Nina. Thank you, Robert, as well. Get me a little choked up over here. But with that, I just want to touch on this real quick because I think it's an opportunity for all of us. It really comes down to first, love and empathy. But it comes down to also putting in a lot of work and having a lot of conversation. I mean, I was an Africana Studies major in college, right? So this is a topic that I've been really investing a lot of myself in. I didn't really realize it was a calling of mine. I thought it was an interest. I didn't realize it was a calling of mine until I became an entrepreneur. And I realized how we can take business and we can take social things and we can weave them together, and they're not supposed to necessarily be separate. Like, that was one of the things that we're always programmed to believe, is that your personal life is separate from your business, life. Your company is separate from social issues. Don't bring politics into the workplace, whatever, right? And I think in 2021, we're realizing like nothing could be further from the truth. It's about bringing your whole self to work. It's about creating social enterprises, companies that have social purpose and missions and are doing good in the world. Because at the end of the day, companies are just groups of people working towards a common financial goal. Well, why can't those same people be working towards a common social goal? And oh, by the way, when you add finances into it, that's the gas and the catalyst. Right. Yep. So it actually is a much more natural marriage, I think, than people realize. And then it connects with people in a way, Nina, that you connect with me and that I connect with you. And hopefully we connect with other people out there. And so, I would encourage anybody that's watching this right now to dig in, do the hard work, be vulnerable, listen, be empathetic, and care about others. And don't be afraid to talk about things and don't be afraid to care publicly.
That part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that it is extremely important to actually understand other people's point of view without you getting your panties in a bunch and disrespecting someone for no reason. Everyone is different, and that's okay. It's supposed to be that way. We are supposed to have different perspectives and points of views. Just like who I actually connected with, also Jamie, on the Sama group through Richard. The one thing I love about him is that we do have different political views, but I know that guy has like good character and good heart, and he has good empathy. And there's things about how he, takes care of his clients that I definitely back 100%. Your differences can make something special. It all depends on how you choose to move with that. And that is okay. Everything does not have to be agreed upon in order for us to move in the right direction. And I think that that's what we're missing. I don't have to like you in order to do the work with you. I just have to actually respect you and not mistreat you just because you have a different perspective or point of view. It's that, golden rule. Do upon others as you will want others to do upon you. Yeah.
A lot of good stuff here, Richard. Thank you for connecting us, Richard. Appreciate it. Jana, appreciate you as well. Jana's working with Glomo. She's on my team, and I'm proud of her. I'm so proud of her. Let's see here. Veronica, Saba Networking on Thursdays. Yep. Hey, Richard, throw the link in there. Where can people go and sign up? I'd love for people to know. Let's see. Christina, amen. Ben, I can tell you I don't want to work anywhere that I cannot be my whole and true self. For me, that self is very passionate about things that others may not understand or care about, but that should be okay, and we can all be adults. Do you think, and Jamie, thanks, Nina, we're friends too. Do you think, going back to Christina's point here, because I think that there's going to be a huge trend towards entrepreneurship, because for many reasons. I mean, the pandemic from economic standpoint might have eliminated jobs, and then boom, people had to figure it out. But I also think that people are seeking a sense of belonging and to have equitable workplaces in more ways than just financial. And they may seek entrepreneurship because they feel like that's the only place they can be themselves, to your point earlier.
I think that it actually, I think it defines a different perspective of having it all. And I think that if you can learn through the past 16 months how to balance schoolwork, your marriage, house, job, everything else wrapped around in a bow, and then not leave your house, I think that if you can figure that out, or if at least you've maintained enough to survive and go ahead with everything else in life, I think it's an opportunity for you to sit back and realize, wait a minute, I don't have to be that person that I used to be then. Who am I now? What can I do now? How can I implement and do things that I'm really passionate about and make money from it? I mean, thankfully, I've always been in this business. I mean, I started out in property management with Gables, and then went to Oakwood, and then, came over. But I have always wanted to put a roof over someone's head in some capacity. I never wanted to be a realtor, but I wanted to do it where I could have the best of both worlds. And I feel like in this industry, you can do that, and you can serve people in a way that actually makes sense for everyone involved. So I think that entrepreneurship, if you haven't thought about it, I'm pretty for sure the pandemic probably put it at top of mind, at least in some capacity, because now I see that people are doing the corporate America and entrepreneurship at the same time, which I commend.
That's what I did. I worked. So I just celebrated the 1 year anniversary of Glomo last month. I've not been full-time Glomo except for 6 months. So I definitely was, had my job, and then my side hustle, which turned into my main hustle, which then turned into, a company that now employs people. Right. And so, and that gave me, by allowing myself 6 months of runway, that gave me, 50 grand in the bank that I was able to then go, buy Glomo.com, pay for a trademark, hire people, buy computers, and whatever I needed to do. It wasn't a question of, gosh, am I going to pay the mortgage or not? it was, I got this little stack over here. So now my question to you, Nina, and Robert has a great question here. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate the question. We've got some great ones. Richard, Jamie, Christina, send those questions over if you're watching right now. Love the questions. Robert says, Nina, what would you recommend to other potential entrepreneurs just starting out to get funding without investors if you're not independently wealthy?
Okay, so that's a great question, Robert, because I'm not independently wealthy, and I can definitely tell you, you can bootstrap your company. You don't have to have that much. I don't think that you have to have thousands upon thousands of dollars to start a business. That's actually incorrect. You can take $500 and start a business. I actually created an ebook, basically, that was a fundamental of how I took $600 within 6 months and created six figures within my business. So it is definitely
what is this, an Instagram ad? What did you you didn't tell me that.
That's facts. I have an ebook.
6 figures.
Yes, the 666. I know some people are not like, ooh, but no, I took 600. I said, I'm going to bet on me. I was like, I gave myself 6 months, and I was like, okay, this first year of entrepreneurship, a little rocky. I spent a lot of my savings because I did not want investors. So whatever little you have, if you can, depending on your business, my business is, services, not products. Products, probably a little bit easier. But since it's service, I had to go back to my referrals. A lot of my New York clients, big up to everyone in New York who helped the girl out that year, that 1-2 years, and helped me build that clientele. But, yes, thank you. Okay, so.
We got a question. What's the ebook?
So the ebook is called The Sweet Faith. I'll send you the link. I'll put it on my LinkedIn so you can see it. But yeah, so it was a labor of love, because what happened was my first year I had invested money, which was only $600. And I said, let me see if I can take this money and go and connect with some of my old New York clients and refund my business and restructure. As soon as I started doing that, I kid you not, old clients from like 2, 3, 4 years ago, literally, I did not reach out to them. They called me. They said, hey, you're still in the business, right? I was like, yeah, but I'm not. I'm in Texas. They were like, I don't care where you are. Can you help us? Yes. I started doing group deals because I'm a part of the supply, minority supply council here in Houston. Someone from government reached out to me. I started doing government deals. And that's also really important, Robert, registering your company as soon as you can to be a minority supplier. You can get on lists with tons of companies that you would never know about that would need your services, that actually have to use minority companies because they have a certain allotted of money that they have to use for another supplier that is of a minority. So I would definitely recommend that, and any other networking groups, because they're going to know all of the resources for you. So I ended up within that 6 months, I did all of these deals that created six figures in my company. And of course I was still, one woman show. So I then had to start, doing some contractors and, hiring some other people for the company to kind of help me, because I was just like, wait a minute, now I'm going a little too fast for my own britches. So
a little big for the britches, as we say.
Got a little big for the britches, yeah. But that's what actually helped me. I was like, wait a minute. As soon as I figured that out, I'm one of those people. Let me write something about it, and I'm gonna put it out. So I wrote a book about it, and it really, hopefully, helps people understand. And I actually nailed every single tool that I used in order to do that within 6 months.
Okay, I got to ask you, $600. What'd you spend it on?
So I had to go back and forth to New York. So travel. I used points because I still had like one credit card, American Express, because of course you can't leave home without it. That was the old expression. I love my American Express card. So I did that. It all went to clients. So any deal that I need to actually make, or, any wooing I had to do with clients. So that was dinners, that was lunches, that was really just like minuscule stuff. It wasn't the overhead because I work from home. So it wasn't that. It was literally just taking that money aside, separating it into a separate account. So it only was responsible for taking care of what I needed to do to build my company. So if I took $100 here for, a nice lunch, then I knew that would turn into $5,000 because one deal in New York is like $6,000. So it was those transitions that I started to realize that this little bit could make this big. So yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would recommend registering your business name. Then you can go get a bank account, and then once you have a bank account, you can start, invoicing people for services. Which to write that first invoice, where you're like, I'm about to send somebody a piece of paper that says you owe me $5,000. Like that's a moment. You're like, and like, let's see.
I still have mine. I still have mine.
I'm like, honey, I'm going to send this email. Let's see if somebody gives us $5,000. And it's like,
yes. It's nice because everything also went through me. So I think the difference of the platform of being in corporate housing was I was backed by, a corporate name. With the Sweet Faith, you're just betting on Nina. So everything can go through my company because I can not only service you, just with one particular, partner, like whether it's Synergy, Oakwood, Furnished Quarters, Gables, like whoever, I can do them all. And they can be all under my company. And then I can still do your physical year reports. I could still do all of that and I could still service you. And I had started actually my business, Sweet Faith. Of course, I reached out to a lot of my, non-for-profits and faith-based organizations. And then it went to executive of minority-owned businesses. Now, right before the pandemic happened, a real estate developer here in Texas, Layers, hello, they actually reached out, Daniel Farber, and said, hey, we have real estate in Dallas. In Dallas.
Of course it's in Dallas. Dallas is the best city in Texas, yes.
Of course. Yeah.
Growing quite rapidly. Continue.
And he goes, I want to do service departments. Can you help me build it? And I was like, yeah, I can. And it just organically happened. I was able to train his team. I was able to put all the contracts together. I was able to work with his property management team, who really did not have faith in me. They were just like, why, first of all, would someone pay over double what someone would pay for this normal apartment that's unfurnished? Like, why would someone do that?
Right. We're over here debating whether we should list this apartment for $1,400 or $1,500, and it's a big deal. And you're telling me you got somebody that's going to pay $3,000 for it? How does that work?
Try 4 during busy season. Yeah. And they were just like, no. All I said was just trust the process. Give me 6 months. I'm all about 6 months. I don't know what it is. And so literally we're building this whole brand together. We're putting it out. I'm at the last CHIPA meeting that was in Austin, Texas, telling everybody about the brand. And then of course the pandemic hits. Everyone shut down. Now, because my 1.5, 2.5 year period of my, company, I had figured out some things and how to, build this business or whatever. So because it was kind of that rough, rocky road, by the time 2020 hit, I was like, oh, I got this. Everyone's like, you don't want to shut this down. Should we, regroup next year? I was like, no, we're going to start now. We're going to make this happen right now. Within 6 months, every single unit we set up was 100% full and stayed full. We have certain people that are still with us that moved in. So we have like these people that have been here for like 6, 12 months. And it's in corporate housing. And so they have a profit share of anywhere from 100 to 200% profit share.
Wow. That's incredible. That's fantastic. I was listening to, there's this NYU professor who has a podcast, and he was talking about all the businesses that he's created as a serial entrepreneur. And he was saying the businesses I created in boom times have failed. The businesses I created in lean times, or recessions have all prospered. And here you are talking about launching, this, during COVID. I created my business in June of 2020, and there's something about like when that's in your DNA, when that struggle is in your DNA and that fight, and that grittiness is in your DNA, I
just believed in it. But corporate housing, I've always believed in. So how you want to, I guess, fulfill it as a niche, that's one thing. But I've always understood how that service could work. Corporate, as an individual, because of course, anytime I travel, I like to stay in corporate housing, of course. But
it is the best kept secret in travel.
Best.
Corporate housing is amazing. I don't know why more people don't stay in court. I don't know why. I mean, it's bigger in Europe. I'm learning, but furnished apartments are not that big of a thing in the travel space here. I do not understand.
It's crazy.
You could stay in downtown Chicago in a high rise, a gorgeous house for $150, $175 a night, cheaper than the Hilton, which is essentially a studio efficiency. I don't understand.
I mean, and there's some great providers out there. So yeah, if you out in the Chicago area, check out Sweet Home, because I've stayed with them several times. They have some great inventory. But yeah, it's the life that I know. So anytime my family tries to travel in certain areas, I try to, make sure I take care of them and put them in, corporate housing. It just makes sense. So it's always been an industry and a business, and the people. Like, I actually like my colleagues. I really enjoy sending them business or trying to do business deals with them or connecting them with people and all of that. So it's a home for me. It feels like home. It's like yourself when you move to a different area and you have to find a new church home, outside of your family or whatever.
Right.
Corporate housing has always felt like home for me. I've never not felt like I wasn't at home, depending on the environment.
So you mentioned something. You mentioned something before just now about, and we got some great comments coming in here. I'm going to honor these comments real quick, and then I want to ask you this question about corporate housing and the opportunities, because you're obviously a super entrepreneurial and you think differently, and you've got some really cool partners. It sounds like. Can someone first put a link in here for Steve? Can somebody give Steve a link to the ebook?
It's on if you go to LinkedIn, it's actually on there. And Steve, if you message me, I'll send you the link.
All right. Well, you might.
The name of it is called Move Forward by Faith. You can check it out on. It's on my LinkedIn. I think the actual link to the ebook is actually on LinkedIn.
Stop Googling 666 and Google the book so you can put the link in there, because you're getting wild over here. Okay, let's put that in there, Steve. You don't have a book on tape, right? Steve drives a lot. Okay, all right.
I haven't done the voiceover yet. I'm sorry, I haven't.
You should be really good. Have you thought about speaking, by the way? Have you spoken? Have you done any?
Okay, so I don't do motivational speaking. I haven't, but it's so funny you say that, because Craig Parton, whom everyone who's on here, if y'all know Craig Parton, you know how amazing this man is. I got the fortunate opportunity of him being my boss and a mentor, and just such an amazing gift. He said, when I went to Furnished Quarters, he said, what could be one of your top clients that you could send to us, since you haven't been in the business in a couple of years? Because I went over to property management and did this big, huge development in New York. And so he goes, name one. And I go, real estate brokers, of course. So from Douglas Elliman to Corcoran to all of the big honchos in real estate, I did presentations every single month for them. So you're talking anywhere from 50 to 200 people in a room during their sales meeting. I got a 5-minute pitch. And I did that every single time. So I would bribe them, of course, I'll bring in breakfast for you guys, or I'll bring in lunch or whatever. Just get me in.
Right.
That's how I actually made it really happen. But also, I enjoy talking. I have the gift for gab.
Yeah, I love it. We got another question here coming in. All right, so I'm going to postpone my question just for a moment here. Tony checking in from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Hey,
what's up, Tony? Okay, we got a couple questions here. I'm gonna give those preference here. Christina, I've been working on a project and been researching ebooks. Do you have any advice on where to start?
You do actually have to plan it out a little bit more. My business coach was amazing. So she actually helped me kind of format it. So I would definitely tell you, get with a partner who can actually help you present it. And then once you do that, they can kind of help you flow it, put it all together. And then I don't know if you're familiar with Canva, but Canva is absolutely amazing. Put that sucker through Canva and you can pop it into all social media platforms, put it on ConvertKit, do whatever you need to do, and just have a link to have it sold, even on Amazon.
Nice. Fantastic. That's great. Veronica's got a question. Hi, Nina. What would you say is the most valuable lesson you've learned so far as an entrepreneur business founder?
Stay true to myself, even though it's not necessarily the nicest or kindest thing. Always know that at the end of the day, I have to be responsible for me. And so whatever that is, I can't think about anybody else's opinions about it. I just got to go for what my gut and what I put my faith out on. So taking responsibility and ownership of my character, of my word, of what I'm responsible for, that's the most valuable lesson that I've learned, because when corporate America, you just, you can turn around and be like, okay, who can I help the firing squad? But yeah, it's all me. So,
that's such a great point. And I remember, when I was in a corporation and managing people, and people would come to me and they say, well, Tina told me to do it that way. And I said, well, you have to live with the results. Tina doesn't have to live with the results. Okay. Yep. So either you can explain why it was done that way and you can own that decision for better or worse. Just like I'm not going to give Tina your raise. Just like I'm not going to fire Tina for your decision. You got to own that, And if you're the type of person that works in a corporation today and you're saying Tina told me, you're probably not cut out for entrepreneurship. But when you can 100%. Say, you know what, this was my decision, I stand by it, for better or worse, you might be cut out for it.
Yep.
Man, I'm getting on my soapbox over here today. You got
Look
me.
At you.
You got me preaching today, Nina.
All right, BC, go ahead.
All right. Ray, shout out from, we got Canada in the house. This is great. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. You had mentioned, and then Jenna's got the link there. Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you.
Jenna's selling books over here. Appreciate you, Jenna. All right. Look at that. Look at that. Talk about a servant heart there too. Jenna's amazing. You had mentioned something. And I want to talk about supplier diversity, but before we do, I want to talk about opportunities in corporate housing. You had mentioned, when you travel, you try to stay in furnished apartments.
Always.
I do too. Because they're friends, they're amazing, they're well appointed, they're often discounted. But let's be honest, stays are usually a couple days, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not typically the model for furnished
housing.
No,
especially in New York.
But could it be? Is there an opportunity? Because that's probably the number one reason why people stay in hotels versus furnished apartments, even though furnished apartments are way better value. Is there a short term application?
Yeah.
And how could it work?
You can stay here in Texas, Houston, and Dallas. I'm just saying. You can stay, for a long weekend. It all depends on the provider and what their terms need to be. So some of them are just like, we can't really turn because we don't have enough employees to, bring in the housekeeping, bring in maintenance, and, and turn like every 2 to 3 days. But if we did it for a week, we could. So you can do that here. But in New York, because it boomed so quickly and we started taking demand from all of the hotels, they put in rules and mandates that go, no, it has to be a requirement of at least 30 days. So you have to actually see what city. Because in White Plains, you can do it still. You can do short term. In Jersey, you can still do it. But in Manhattan, it has to be a minimum of 30 days. I mean, I will never forget on the news before I left New York, John Legend and Chrissy Teigen, they were staying in an Airbnb and got kicked out because it was a short-term stay. Like literally, she was still pregnant with their daughter. She was in like some Uggs and a big, huge coat. It was the middle of winter and they got kicked out. Yes, it can happen to anyone. So make sure you understand the city rules before you go into one, because that would be embarrassing because the news was right there.
Oh my goodness. That's fun. I mean, that's sad, but interesting. Wow. All right. I want to talk about supplier diversity just for a moment, because it's on my brain. It's really one of my purposes. You were talking about one of the first things you do when you become an entrepreneur. If you are eligible, to be certified as a diverse business, is to register as such and get on the list and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Do people really, one of the questions I'm asked all the time, do people really get business from their certification?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. I've gotten several deals. That was one of the first organizations, the Minority Supplier Development Council, I actually hooked up with here in Houston, went to some of their national events. Yes. I've gotten referrals from it. I have connected with some really great people in the business because of it. People that did not know, of course, about my industry, which I always have to train and educate people on, who are now using me because they did not know about it and they want to come to me for those resources. There's funding there that you do not know about unless you're part of the organization. There is involvement in your community you did not know about. when the pandemic first started, even though I had bootstrapped, like I was telling Robert, when I first started my company, excuse me, the second year during the pandemic, I did not apply for PPP loans or anything like that because I seemed like I was doing well, keeping, lights on, everything's going great. So I didn't. All of a sudden, Houston Supply Minority Council, they reached out to us and goes, hey, we have grant funding. So the city of Houston actually granted me funding just because I was already an entrepreneur during the pandemic. So I wouldn't have known that had I not been a part of it. So these are things, these are certain resources and people that you can reach out to, and they can really help you thrive. SCORE, that's a huge organization of entrepreneurs that are retirees that know how to do business plans and have started business. They're there for free to help you create your businesses. So that's another way that you can, have someone who knows the knowledge that you're seeking to help you get involved, and you don't have to be charged for it. So it's great.
How can we help? So I think so I guess let me think about how to phrase this here. So when I look around the relocation industry, there are very few true minority-owned service providers, MBEs. And when I say true, I mean WBE is one thing. 51% of the world's population is women. It's hard, but true minority-owned MBEs, right? Even SDVOSB, service disabled veteran-owned small businesses. How can we create opportunities within relocation for MBEs? Well, let's be specific. MBEs. How do we create those opportunities?
I think the best thing is you have to put yourself out there. You don't know what you don't know. I thrive off of telling everybody, I don't know if you know, but I've been in the business for a couple of decades. This is my business now. I know exactly how to do it. If I can't help you, I'm going to put you in connections with the right people. It's my pitch. It's what I do. It's what I love. Let me help you. So put yourself out there. Like, people need to know your name. You cannot sit behind a brand. It's you. So it is truly important for you to start talking about you. This is your one opportunity where you can be like, I'm going to talk about me. I'm going to talk about what I'm doing. And it's okay. Like, legit okay. So you have to take ownership of that. So I don't want to say like these companies, you have to, work with minority owned businesses. No, you have to work with what works with your systems. But I think it's important that you do not set them aside because they're minorities. So that all goes, falls back on kind of when I thought about corporate housing, getting into the industry early, I would always think about, the boys club and, trying to break through that glass ceiling. I think that that's being shattered by not necessarily minorities, but women. I think that we are coming out the gate strong and hard. And we are representing in a lot of ways that we hadn't before because we're not afraid to actually speak up, stand up, and actually go for those roles. So I think that that's a huge testament to us. I also think that, being in a position where you want to actually help others. Once you're in an environment to want to serve, the money will come, the clients will come. The actual gift of actually scaling your business, they do come when you actually just stop thinking about yourself and figuring out a way how to help someone else. That's really important. And don't be afraid to have someone mimic what you're doing, because the one thing, you can do everything I'm doing behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, it doesn't matter. No one's going to be Nina Lachey Taylor. So go ahead, knock yourself out. You ain't gonna be me, and that's okay. We can share, because the one thing I do want to do, if I can't get in the door and sit at a particular table, I'm going to build my own table. Like Tyler Perry said, I'm going to make my own chairs, and whoever else want to come in, come on. Because I want to be in a position where I can look up in this industry and there are corporate meetings being held that look like our clients. I don't see that yet. But one day, I do believe that that's going to happen. We are all going to look like who we represent in this world. And it'll happen. I actually truly do believe that.
Let's talk about this just for a moment. because I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and and frankly, I talk to a lot of leaders of relocation companies, and I talk to folks who are, corporate relocation managers and purchasing managers, and everyone's saying the same thing. They're saying, we want more supplier diversity. We want our supply chain. Not only, there's the one thing, there's the DE&I initiatives within the company to say we want the employee mix to resemble our clients. We want to create opportunities not only to get in the door, but to move up the ladder.
Right.
There's these conversations. And then the conversation that I'm trying to have more and more is, how do we now also have that same DE&I focus on our supply chains? And yet I feel that there's a disconnect.
For sure.
And I feel that folks want to do something and they're saying things, but there's somehow a disconnect, and maybe I don't know what that is yet. And I'm really trying to understand it. What do you think that disconnect is?
It's kind of like when those big brands, during the movements last year, Black Lives Matter and all, these are great slogans. These are great testaments of, yes, we want to get involved. We want to sign this, do that, blah, 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 blah. And then it fades. There is a lot of people that do really talk a really good talk, but not a lot of action. I think that if you really want to see the change in what you're trying to implement, your actions have to speak way louder than your words. It is really important to do that. Like going forward, I think that it is really important for you to connect with people that you wouldn't normally connect with, so that you can understand exactly their perspective and what their needs are. If you're not seeing certain people or minorities in certain sectors of where you're trying to go with that company, then you need to ask someone, hey, would you be interested in maybe volunteering and heading up that particular department, or, seeing some potential in others? I think that those action steps are not being done. And that goes on both ends, because oftentimes, again, you don't necessarily want to have those very uncomfortable conversations or feel like, well, they didn't pick me because I didn't look a certain way, or I didn't talk a certain way, or I didn't act a certain way. But that you're overqualified for certain things. And sometimes those positions also, they don't even know that they exist. You really do have to do your own research and understand exactly what it's going to take to get there. So that disconnect kind of evolves on both hands. Be responsible for it, and then take accountability for it, and see how you really connect appropriately to take the action.
Yeah. It's interesting because I see a lack of demand and I see a lack of supply. I see a lack of, let's say, RMC's corporate folks actually purchasing from diverse companies, but I also see a lack of diverse companies, right?
You'll see a lot of lack of diverse companies, especially in our industry, but that's also because they haven't been educated to know that they have growth in this industry, that they have a place in this industry. I knew from jump what I could actually create, and it wasn't about climbing up to a certain title. It was just about certain things that I could do with certain deals. I had put myself in a structure where I knew at a certain period of time, I knew I could grow to do this. At a certain period of time, if I waited, I could do this. So it takes vulnerability for you to strive to certain areas that you just didn't know about in the beginning. I think but again, the conversations that you tend to have with minority-owned businesses are conversations that need to be had on a more national live stage. More people need to really understand it in detail. And you see more of an open book, just like I am. So it's really important that not only the education is being taught, but that you understand the encouragement that people really give when they're inspired to actually do something. Craig Parton gave me a chance at Furnished Quarters when I first started. I walked in that door with no accounts, and I made something into millions of dollars, within a year or two. It starts with you just understanding that you can do something, and someone actually saying, okay, give me your hand. Yeah. I'll help you out.
Yeah, I would love to create like a diverse supplier group or something, whether it's a LinkedIn group, whether it's a group that meets, weekly or monthly and maybe even networks together, mentors one another, maybe hosts thought leadership series with maybe large RMCs, who are interested in also, championing the cause, and almost create our own supplier diversity council within the relocation and global mobility space.
I would love that. I think that that's good. And then start getting real specific about certain details. So you're not just having conversations that don't require action. Well, making sure that evolves.
And I would love to put some reporting around it, right? So you have like the $1 Billion Roundtable. For those of you who don't know, the $1 Billion Roundtable is a whole bunch of Fortune 500 companies, from Walmart to Honda to, I don't know, a bunch of them, Apple. And they all said, we're going to spend $1 billion a year or more with, I think it's with Black owner MBE companies. Yeah. Very, very specific. And so that's their pledge. Well, what's interesting is when you talk to the relocation managers of these companies, they may or may not be aware of this initiative. When you talk to when you talk to their relocation management company supplier manager, they're definitely not aware, right?
Right.
Or they have a reason why they can't help them meet that requirement, such as insurance requirements or data security requirements or whatever. And these need to be understood, because this is where kind of the rubber meets the road. This is the nuance that needs to come. So I think until we start discussing these things in a pretty public way and really unpacking this and solving for these issues, there's going to just be this disconnect that persists. So
again, it's just a talk. Yeah. So if the people that are actually having to do the work don't understand that this is the work that they're now responsible for, or the initiative that they're moving forward with, then therein lies your problem right there. It was just talk. It was just the slogan. It just made people feel good. It made everyone calm down about a discussion that maybe they didn't understand or want to actually evolve into actually action. So again, it's the people that actually want to see it become a reality, because there are so many of us in so many different ways actually trying to produce something that makes sense. So yeah, I've seen it a lot, especially with some of the big brands that I've worked for and have had the opportunity to connect with. But unfortunately, sometimes the words just aren't as loud as their action.
Well, how cool would it be if we had a $1 million roundtable or something with all, RMCs or whomever that get committed to spending $1 million or $10 million or whatever the number is with MBE companies, and then would actually come out and report it. And we had actually a third party or something that could actually help them report that and document their ability to meet those goals. I mean, because I got to feel like there's corporates out there that would buy from these RMCs based on their ability to hit those goals, because it all rolls up.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree. I also think that there needs to be something else to it than just, okay, we've given money to this company or to this supplier or this development. So then what next? Like, what does that mean long term? Because that seems like a short-term goal. I want to know, like, long term, does that mean that that person's going to have, a 1-year contract, a 5-year contract, a 10-year contract? Are they going to be that partner that you look to for that as a standing supplier? Like, what are these end results that you really do want to see, and actually plan that out so that it's just not, okay, I made the match financially, now what? It needs to actually represent a career. It needs to represent a brand. So that's where it needs to kind of go in a little bit more.
Yeah. No, great points. What's up, Pa? Pa coming to us from Africa. Look at all the continents we have represented. Rory out in Chicago. This is great. Richard's over here putting the link there to Saba Wine Time in there. Go ahead.
Yes.
Richard. Awesome. Hey, you want to have a little fun, Nina?
I always want to have fun.
Yeah, yes. Let's do it. You got a top 5 for us today?
I do. My top 5 books.
Books. I love them.
I do. That's the one thing as an entrepreneur I have done a lot of. I can't even tell you, yesterday when I was watching, they gave the top 5 series and movies. I couldn't give you that right now. My head is in books on a consistent basis.
Nice. This is a stupid question, but do you read the books or do you listen to the books on like Audible or something? I'm an Audible person.
No. So everything. I'm not a huge Audible. I like to touch, feel, smell. That's how I learn. I've always been one of those people. You can tell me all day long, but I need the movement.
You don't smell that book, it doesn't resonate. I got you. All right, let's smell some books, everybody. Top 5 smelly books. Let's go. Nina Taylor, number 5.
Top 5. Think and Grow Rich. This is my Think and Grow Rich.
Oh my gosh.
Look at all of this.
Are you kidding me?
On a monthly basis, I'm going through this. I'm reading things. I am learning stuff and it's not about money. What you have to understand, Think and Grow Rich is actually not about the money. It's about your mindset. You got to get your mind right. In order to be an entrepreneur, you have got to get your mind together. You have to have a money mindset in order to know how money should not be ruling your life. It teaches that.
I'll be honest with you. I think I own this book and I don't think I've read it.
Oh gosh.
I got this book in college and I don't think
mine is about to tear up, but yeah, I'm faithful.
Gosh. It's a classic. Number 4.
The Alchemist. That's I want to say like Bible Alchemist.
Wow.
It's right there. If you have not read that, I think that is one of the books in life you just have to read.
I need to reread this. I read this book in college. I think it's Paulo Coelho or something like that.
Yes.
And I read this book in college, and I'll be honest with you, it didn't grab me.
Why?
I don't know why. It's inexplicable. Maybe I didn't smell it. I don't know.
You gotta feel it.
I gotta feel it. I gotta smell it.
The journey alone. And that was the one thing one of my mentors always told, enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Stop trying to figure out that destination.
Yes.
Try to level your head at the journey of the process.
Yes.
You got to get The Alchemist for sure. You got to read that again.
I'm gonna write this one down now. I'm gonna get, because it's an easy read too, right? It's not even like,
it's an extremely easy read. You can read it in like 2 days.
All right, I'm gonna end up getting all these books. I have a feeling. All right, number 3.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That is a person like myself who started out not understanding and going into corporate America, trying to change yourself, trying to be a certain thing, think that you have to have that American dream life. And then you realize that rich dad over there is doing the complete opposite. So yeah, that's a book, a testament of your journey. If you actually want to go from corporate to entrepreneurship or do both at the same time.
I need to read this book too, because sometimes my priorities are out of whack, I think.
Yeah, it's those simple fundamentals that you really have to understand. Again, mindset about money, but at the end result, it's not the money. So yeah.
Number 2,
Success Runs in Our Race. That is by another mentor of mine, Dr. George C. Frazier. Love that man. He actually is the founder of the networking group. Oh, I forgot. It's like missing my brain right now. But Dr. George C. Frazier, he's amazing. He has helped so many minorities over decades. This man, I think, is 76 years old and is going like he's 30. He's absolutely incredible. I'd say in this era of life, he is literally like the Martin Luther King of our era, because I will never forget. I remember, it's the Power Network. That's the network that he has in the conference that he does, the Power Network. It's amazing. And the one thing that he will always say is the problem with us, and used to speaking about Black people, is we don't follow up well. And that was the one thing I was just like, I'm going to prove him wrong. I called, because he gave out his number. I called him and he picked up. I was like, what? And he spent an hour on the phone with me and talked about all of these different books that I've read, the books that he's written, because he's, of course, a New York Times bestseller. And he's just an empowering person of how the problem with us is us. I've learned that through him. And we need to change certain things so that we can actually take the proper steps. So yeah, he's great. I love his book. Success runs in our race.
I'm going to have to read it.
It's amazing.
Talking at the Supplier Diversity Council. So, wow, this is powerful. I haven't even read these books, and I'm feeling like inspired and moved to action here.
And they're all easy reads. They're all truly easy.
Awesome. Number 1.
Professional Troublemaker. This is my new Lovey Jones. This is her new New York Times bestseller. I will say, like the late John Lewis would say, trouble. Good trouble.
Good trouble.
This is good. This is good trouble. This is good trouble right here. And she has an amazing TED Talk too. That's also really great. So all the ladies out there, watch her TED Talk. It's like 10 minutes. It's really good.
What's it about?
The Professional Troublemaker or her TED? Oh, the book? It's all about professionalism basically turned upside down. It is the guide to really hone in on how you can really survive and make it through corporate America by being your authentic self.
I love this. Look at Rachel. Rachel's like, I'm reading this right now. I haven't even read this book, but when you said professionalism, I'm gonna miss this this quote, but I think it was from The Bluest Eye, and I think Toni Morrison in the beginning of that book said something like the concept of beauty is the most damaging concept known to mankind. I would say that the concept of professionalism is one of the most damaging concepts to the professional.
Facts.
Right? Am I professional enough? Am I buttoned up enough? Am I, am I sitting in my seat,
Facts.
not making trouble, not making noise, staying in my lane, because if you are, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, my testament is the crown on my head. I mean, Black women alone, the hair, it's a whole situation, it's its own little village. So to walk into a corporate America and actually hone in on looking like Grace Jones on Monday, and then by Friday, maybe Beyonce, we have that right and that privilege, but in corporate America, it's like, no. And actually one of my old greatest friends, she actually had to leave one of her hospitality positions because she had gotten braids. They were just like, that's not proper hair protocol. And they fired her for it. And so now they have the Crown Act in certain states that is being passed because of that. So as an entrepreneur, I don't have to worry about that. My hair is going to be, it's going to be blue.
It's blue. This question, and I know that hair is such a loaded topic, but I was going to ask you, when you changed career, when you went on your own, did the way that you dress, comport yourself, hair, whatever, did that change?
Hair has always been one of those things where don't ask. The only person that I will let ask me about my hair, and that's Craig. Craig, part my old boss. He's the only person I can have conversations with, and I'm gonna let him know about my hair. Other than that, don't ask, don't tell. It's none of your business. But no, my hair has always been this changing, evolving thing because as Black women, we were told straight hair, long hair. That's always the professional way to go. But no, I've cut my hair off to a Halle Berry. I've gone just, fro. I've gone straight. I've gone different colors. Not as many colors. I haven't been that courageous. But braids, short, long, doesn't matter. I will say how I dressed a little bit more because I was a little bit more stuffy. So that's changed a bit. It's gotten a little bit more swag. I don't always wear makeup. That's another thing I had to be confident about. I actually put on social media how I actually got adult acne and just didn't feel confident, and finally went to the proper esthetician and got, very proud and comfortable with myself. So I was able to actually change that and was like, yeah, I'm going to go to the meeting with no makeup. And I felt fine with it. I was tired of covering up myself. I think you get to a point, in your life in itself where you're going to get tired of wearing a mask. And whatever that looks like for you, again, no one else's business. So if you want to have hair down to your ankles, or if you want to shave it all off, that is no one else's business. It's about the character and the service that you can provide and how well you do your work. As long as your work ethic is there, who cares?
Love it. I love it. This is great. An inspiring, validating conversation with Nina. Nina, before we let you go, and I know we're over time, so thank you for being so magnanimous with your time. Is there a final thought you'd like to leave people with today?
Yes. Don't be afraid to fail. This is my quote. My motto is move forward by faith, not backwards by fear. But I will definitely say my failures have been the product of my successes. So if you're going to fail, fail hard so that as soon as you get down there, you can bounce right back up. Mm-hmm. So I will leave people with that. And if you ever even have an interest of trying to figure out how to get into this business or entrepreneurship or anything like that, I'm always an open book. Please DM me. I have no problem with talking to anybody about anything. As you can see, I gab, so it's totally fine.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here today with us, Nina Taylor, founder, CEO, The Sweet Faith. I knew you a little bit. I knew I liked you. I know you a lot now. I love you now. Nina, thank you for being here with us today. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much.